we do it to it, I want to introduce my producer and my good friend, Al Kane. Al, say hello.
Hey, yeah, I'm off camera, but I'm here.
Off camera, but he's always watching. Like God, kind of. You kind of
Exactly.
sound like God, too, your voice.
One day I hope to play God,
Yeah.
like Morgan Freeman.
I think you could be the next that, and you can also like do nature documentaries, too.
Oh, that's the dream.
Yeah.
I could do that.
Or like a space documentary. I can
Yeah.
imagine like your voice like bellowing out in like an IMAX theater.
Thank you. That's so sweet. Yeah, I would love that one day.
Very talented man we have here. So you're a producer, and then what else? Do you comedy writing? How would you describe yourself?
I'm a comedy and podcast producer. Over in New York, I would do some comedy shows, set up comedy shows, and I help make podcasts. People need help making a podcast. They don't know how to do it themselves, or they just need the right thing. Sometimes they don't know how to record right, or sometimes they want to promote a podcast. I help them out, and I have my own podcast.
You go ahead, plug it.
Oh, okay. That's Interviews for the Mind, and that's on in iTunes and Spotify and what else? SoundCloud, all that stuff.
You have a lot of good interviews on there, like
Thank you.
Rogan-esque type podcast, and you're also an adult film star.
Yeah,
which well, we won't talk about it today, but we'll get into it in the future.
That's
you
true.
also have your own
One
channel
day.
on Pornhub.
That's a whole podcast episode.
Yes. Speaking of whole episodes, yesterday at my apartment, so I walked into my apartment and I'm about to get on the elevator and I look towards the front door and I see this guy kind of flagging me down trying to get in. Now, I feel like anybody who lives in an apartment building knows this predicament. Like they always tell you, don't let anybody in. If they're a resident, they have a key and they'll let themselves in. Anybody else is like a stranger and God knows what they're there for. But it's awkward when someone's standing there asking you to let them in and you just like ignore them. Normally I do anyway because I don't give a shit. I don't know what came over me yesterday, but I just went and I didn't even look to see if the guy had a key. I let him in, and as soon as I let him in, I looked down and realized he had a half empty Corona in his hand, which isn't super strange except for the fact that it was 10:30 in the morning. I don't want to judge, but like this isn't Louisiana. Like, why are you walking around in the middle of like a weekday with a half-drank can of beer? So now I'm like, of course, I go into like full-blown panic mode. I'm like, great, this guy's gonna fucking kill somebody in the building, and it's gonna be my fault because that's where And then like I'm like, all right, maybe I'll go tell the building manager, but I know she's gonna be mad, and I don't like to disappoint Mary Alice because she's the greatest. And I don't know, I knew I could see the look of like sorrow in her eyes, like if I said that to her. So I'm like, oh. So now I'm finishing getting ready in my apartment, and every time I hear a noise, I'm like convinced it's somebody getting like bludgeoned to death by the guy that I let in. Like I'm 100% I could see the Dateline episode playing out in my head. So now like this was my screw up. So now I feel compelled to like go secure the perimeter. So then I go back out of my apartment. I'm like checking. I'm not even kidding. I'm checking the stairwells. I like check both garages, the laundry room, looking for this dude. I couldn't find him. So I gave up. And then I remembered that it's Mardi Gras. So I'm like, I'm thinking that maybe even though, again, it was kind of early to be drinking, I'm hoping that this guy was like going to a Mardi Gras party and just wanted to start early. He sort of had that like look about him. Like he looked like he sold voodoo dolls for a living. It was like a unbuttoned like black like dress shirt and like a fedora, and like his eyes were kind of glazed over. So I was like, fuck, I hope so. In which case it would make sense to act like you're from Louisiana and drink in the middle of the day. But yeah, I'm glad. Have you ever called the police in your lifetime for anything?
Yeah, one time a guy got in a motorcycle accident when I was walking down the street, and
Ooh.
he fell off his motorcycle. And so I guess that wasn't the police. That was just like 911. And
Yeah.
it was a normal dispatcher, and
Mm-hmm.
they asked what happened. I told them. So no, I haven't called the police.
See, but that's like a reasonable, like, of course you would call like 911 when something like that happens.
Yeah.
I'm a little bit different.
Mm-hmm.
I have a tendency to overreact from time to time.
Okay.
So one time, this was like, I guess I was still in college. So I was like running around my neighborhood right as like all the little kids are getting out of school, right? Buses dropping everybody off. And I see this older guy in an SUV like continuously circling the block over and over and over again. So I'm like, all right, whatever, not a big deal. Then I see him stop some young boy and say, hey, do you want to ride? And the kid says no. And then he was like, no, get in the car. And the kid just takes off and runs. This is my own neighborhood. So I'm like, what the fuck? So immediately I I need to speak to the manager. I get out my phone. I call the police and I tell them, I'm like, I'm not sure what happened. Like, it might not be an emergency, but I just wanted to call anyway. So it being a small town, they send, no exaggeration, 5 squad cars and the chief of police to my neighborhood. Like, they're already fucking canvassing this place. Like, it's like that show Without a Trace. I'm like, holy shit. So I call my brother, who's like 6 years younger than me, and I describe. Now they're looking for the kid. They're worried that he got the kid. I describe the kid to my brother, and he's like, oh yeah, that's Joey so and so. I know where he lives. So my brother, we both meet at the house, right? And with like 4 cops behind us. Kid opens the door. I'm like, oh my God, thank God you're okay. I saw that guy. He was like, oh yeah, that was my friend's grandfather. Just wanted to know if I wanted a ride home. I'm like, now, I couldn't even I meekly turned around and looked at the cop, and he's like, you did the right thing. Like, could have been, but I could tell that they were going to be like howling, laughing at this, like later on at the station. But first of all, even if you're someone's grandpa's friend, why are you driving around after school? Like, I'm still suspect of the fucking guy. It was weird. Okay. And then I think that's strange. But then meanwhile, I shamed the family. I embarrassed my whole family. And my brother literally was like, didn't want me walking home with him because he didn't want people to know that we shared a house. But it's also like we live in a small town. Like, if I called that in like downtown LA, like they would send one cop out 6 weeks later to like check in on it. So there, everything's like high priority. But that wasn't even like the worst time. Like, that was like semi-legitimate because everybody's concerned like a pedophile might be in the neighborhood. That's like okay. Another time I was running. It's always when I'm jogging too. Like, this shit happens. I saw a skunk in the middle of the street with his head stuck in a Dunkin' Donuts cup, which is like, first of all, how the fuck does that happen? Second of all, why would am I the one that has to find the skunk? And now I'm like, oh, maybe it's not going to be able to eat anymore. Now it's going to die in the Dunkin' Donuts cup. And like, what kind of way is that for a skunk to go? So I posted up on my story and people start like DMing me advice. Like, someone was like my friend Kara was like, oh, like you got to throw a blanket over it so it doesn't spray you and then like wrestle the cup. I'm like, all right, I'm not going to do that. So eventually I just call the police because I'm like, fuck it. I'll just give them something to do. The minute I call and give my name over the phone, the cup pops off his head and the thing runs off. Like, God forbid it happened 10 seconds earlier before they even know who's calling. Like, now I've embarrassed myself and there's literally no emergency. Skunk is free.
Now, are you calling 911 or are you calling like the police department number?
Well, for the fake pedophile, like when I thought it was like Joe Walsh, I called actual 911 because that seemed like an emergency. Skunk, I knew well enough to call like the police dispatch.
Okay.
And then it's just, I don't know, dude. I get upset, and also I'm like not like a big dog person, but I also never like to see an animal hurt. Like, does that make sense? Mm-hmm. Like, I don't like there are people who like they want their dogs like licking them and like living and like fucking showering with them. Like, I don't get that, and that's big here in LA. That's not for me. But I also like don't want any animals to like be suffering. So anytime I see something like that, I feel like I need to help. So another time I saw like a fox that looked underfed in the park. And I at the time I was dating the mayor's son. So I like called him up and I'm like, you gotta fucking do something about this shit. I'm like, he was like, what do you mean? He's like, it's probably, I'm like, no, like it looked like it had mange. I looked it up. And then like smart, like fox are like, they're very smart. So every time I would go running in the park, I would see the same one. I felt like we had like a bond, like we had a friendship. I was like, I gotta get this guy some help. So I called the police and this guy was like, well, foxes around here like just tend to be skinny. I'm like, what are you, a fucking expert? Like, you're a cop. You should get this thing help. I was so upset. I was so annoyed. But whatever. But yeah, luckily this time I didn't call the police. I considered it, but then I was like, I could see the scene once again unfold because Beverly Hills is similar to my hometown in the sense that like it's a very low crime rate. So if you call the police, like 86 of them show up for like a fender bender. So I didn't really want the SWAT team coming out, on my behalf for the voodoo guy. What'd you do for Valentine's Day?
Worked, which I was happy to because I never have any plans on Valentine's Day.
You don't?
No.
Yeah.
I'm not a romantic. I'm not a guy that goes out and woos women.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I'm also like a serial, what's like the opposite of a serial, I'm like just like a serial lonely person. I'm sure there's a term for it. I just don't
Definitely.
know it.
Definitely.
But yeah, I've never celebrated like a Valentine's Day. I feel like that for me is just like a day to go out and get drunk with like my single girlfriends.
Okay, is that what you did?
Yeah, also known as every other weekend, so it's not really a big deal. No, but so I actually went to the bar with my friends. I went to this cool whiskey bar, um, called Old Man Bar. Have you ever heard of it?
No.
Down in Culver. It's cool. Kind of reminds me of Death and Company. But as you know, I like whiskey bars. I like dark, dank places.
Do they exclusively sell whiskey? Is that what they do?
I mean, you can get any kind of drink there, but it's like it's designed like the whole wall is whiskey.
Okay.
So it's like racks and racks and racks, and like ranging from like $12 glasses, like all the way up to like $130, $140 glass whiskey.
Mm-hmm.
So, but something for everybody. So we go there. It's kind of quiet, and I like assume that it's gonna be like a chill night. But no, I got groped.
Whoa.
I know, which is like, that hasn't happened to me since the bottle waitressing days. It's been a while since somebody has just like blatantly like grabbed a body part. So we're at the bar and there's this dude next to us and he's with some other girl. And like judging by the look of the whole, I felt like they had just met in like an airport bathroom like a couple hours ago. Like it was like a very dismal scene. Like I think she was just lonely and desperate. It was Valentine's Day and he was just desperate to begin with. She kind of looked like, she reminded me of like an extra from Coyote Ugly. Like she was like kind of cute, but also kind of weathered. A lot of tattoos. I think she was also wearing a leather vest, which was like an interesting choice. And then he kind of remember the comedian Greg Giraldo?
Yeah.
Really talented guy. He died kind of young. But he looked a lot like a sweaty, like down on his luck Greg Giraldo. And so the two of them are at the bar and she goes to the bathroom and he looks over at my friend and he goes, also, by the way, like the fact that like we were in like an axis, like we were like the axis of fucking evil with like our backs to you should give you the hint that we're probably not there to chill, especially if you're like a drunken buffoon, but whatever. So it like literally like interjects between me and my friend and he looks at the other one, he's like, yo, you look really intense. Like, I took one look at you and my dick went soft. I was like, oh, and also he was Southern. So, like, I don't even know, like, I was like, my dick went soft. Like, it was like it was also like, it was that added insult to injury that you also said it in your, like, fucking slow-ass drawl. That's like, first of all, if you're from the South, like, you get to be mean to people 0% of the time. Like, like, that might be mean. Like, guys, fucking catch up to the rest of America. Like, and I'm not saying it politically and I'm not saying it like you're stupid. It's literally just the way you talk and do shit. Speed it the fuck up. It takes you 2 minutes to get through one fucking sentence. Like, it's one vowel. It should take 1 second to say. It's every sentence that comes out of their mouth. I feel like I'm on acid. It takes a different shape and it weaves around and comes back and gets back. What are you doing? Just say the fucking word. So that was the other thing too, is he was like, you look really intense. I took one look at you. My dick went soft. First of all, it just sounded fucking terrible. It was so annoying. So I didn't even know what to say. Like, and my friend looked at him and she's like, yeah, I think that happens to you a lot, which was like, she was very snappy with the comeback. I was already like 3 drinks in, so there's no hope for me. So then his lady friend comes back. They start making out like fucking apes in heat at the bar, like knocking shit over, knocking glasses over. I was trying to like box out, like I was like on the basketball court. I was trying to fucking get rid of him. The bartender like cuts him off. He's like, you gotta go. So as he goes to leave, he reaches around, like grabs my right tit to like get me out of the way. And like, if you need me to move, like just put your hand on my shoulder at most and just kind of like scoot me over. Don't fucking grab my boob like it's an avocado at Whole Foods and you're checking to make sure that it's like ripe but not too ripe to take it home. Like, it was not even, because, like, I feel like when I tell people that, like, they always want to be like, oh, like, are you sure it wasn't just I'm like, no, this wasn't, like, a boob graze. Like, he full-on reached around, and there was, like, a squeezing motion. I was like, what the fuck? And you know what pissed me off even more was that I was so in shock, I didn't even say anything to the guy. Like, like, I always thought I'd be the kind of person who, like, if that happened to me, like, I'd, like, lose my shit. But I was, like, so caught in the moment, I didn't even know what to do. Like, I'm like, did that just happen?
I wouldn't like that.
You wouldn't like that either.
No, last weekend I went to Universal Studios and there was the Walking Dead attraction, and they have little zombies, and the zombies touched me, and I didn't like that.
Oh yeah,
and I went on an attraction that was supposed to do that. If it was some drunk guy at a bar, I would hate that.
No, yeah, that's like, well, most people like don't like people in their personal space. So like groping
and your boob,
my boob, nonetheless.
Yeah,
it was like, dude, that is like, in case you were confused, like that is not a handle to move somebody with, and I'm not gonna name names, but I was like telling a few different people. I was entertaining them with the story. And it's people who have said shit to me in the past about how I dress. And I could tell by the look on their face that they wanted to say to me, like, and people have said this to me before, like, well, you put it out there and you're bound to attract people. Bullshit. You can looking is fine, but don't ever put your hands on someone. Like, if someone's stark naked, like, gawk at them all you want, but you don't just get to put your hands on somebody. To me, that's such a weird, like, the fact that people think that that's okay just because you dress a certain way is like a bizarre, like, notion to me. Like, okay, are you into cars? Do you like cars?
Yeah, as much as any other guy, but not like, I'm not a mechanic.
You're not like an enthusiast.
Nah.
But that's like a thing. Like, I feel like guys are into cars. Like, you see a Lamborghini in a parking lot. Like, do you go up and put your hands all over it and rub up on it?
That's not okay.
No, you wouldn't, because you're not from the South. So you wouldn't do weird fucking shit like that. You wouldn't just go up and, put your shit. Imagine. But like, so you won't do that to the car, but dudes will do that to a chick. Like, that's so fucked up. And again, when people get on my case about what I wear, I think it's the craziest thing, because I don't think it's a big deal. I think whoever you are, wherever you are, like, you wear whatever you feel best in, whether it's sweats, a suit, a skimpy, like, it shouldn't matter. And like, we've all made assumptions based on appearances, but to think that anything for sure based on said appearance is just wild. Like, I wear tight clothes. I have the thought nails. I have like ginormous tits that are like always sort of at attention. But I can count on my one hand how many guys I've slept with. Okay. So it doesn't, like, what does it tell you? You have no idea. And then in college, I was friends with this girl who every day she'd come to class, no makeup, hair, like, unbrushed, like shitty clothes. Like, and not like in the cute college, like, I don't give a shit kind of way, like in like a she had fallen on hard times kind of way. Like, she just, she didn't care at all about her appearance. But meanwhile, this girl also had her clit pierced. She had an entire album of nudes in her phone. I sat next to her for a whole semester, so there was like, she shared a lot. She had a whole album of nudes in her phone that she would like casually send out to guys, like they were mailers, like coupon mailers at like 2 p.m. on a Tuesday. And she was into like really kinky shit, like things that like even someone like me, like I don't even want to describe it, but the things that she would tell me that she would do, and I was like, wow, that's like the dark corner of Pornhub, is where you got to go to like find that shit. And then all of that's fine. Like, do whatever you want. This is a democracy. But my point is that you can't judge a book by its cover. Like, you would look at her and think she was like this meek, quiet person. She does nothing. And meanwhile, she's like a fucking lunatic, outside of daylight hours, I guess you could say. And then again, you'd look at me and you think all this stuff, and it's just not the case. So I think to just, to tell somebody, oh, you shouldn't dress like that because people will think, well, like, the people who think like that, fuck them. Mm-hmm. Jeffrey Dahmer had like a rock hard body and a jawline that went on for days. He also ate people.
That's true.
Okay. Post Malone, talented artist, seems like a sweetheart of a guy, literally looks like a meth cook from the Ozarks that may or may not be fucking two of his first cousins. Like, you just don't know. You don't know. Like, you know who else like? Jeff Bezos. Like, if Jeff Bezos wasn't Jeff Bezos, what do you think he'd be fucking doing right now with that look?
H&R Block.
On a good day, Al. On a fucking good day. Also, shout out to Patrick at H&R Block, who does my taxes.
There we go.
Who's a silver fox. So we don't want to shit on H&R Block. They would give me a good tax return. But Jeff Bezos, like, he is one of the richest, most powerful men in the world. And Jeff Bezos looks like Tilda Swinton and Gollum from Lord of the Rings had a baby. And you can't tell me that's not true. That is his aesthetic. One of the most successful people in history, this guy, also looked like he crawled out of Middle Earth 2 minutes ago. Like, you never know. You never know. You cannot judge a book, by its cover. And I just think that you should dress and wear whatever makes you the happiest. You know, again, I don't care. It's not like I'm saying you have to look like me. I just want you to look like however you want and own it. Like, life is short. I could get hit by a bus tomorrow, and the only thing that would be worse than getting hit by a bus would be getting hit by a bus and looking like shit. You know, if I'm laying in the street, like, I at least want people to be like, oh, at least she was fucking good looking. Look at that hot dead girl, and then, you know, splattered across the road. Like, I want the headline to be like, hot girl, nice rack, dies on Wilshire Boulevard. Not, you know, woman hit by bus, outfit looked worse than the mangled body. You know, you gotta think about that shit. It's also why I keep makeup. Like, I keep spare makeup in my earthquake, like, evacuation, my emergency kit that they tell you to prepare. And they're like, oh, bring water and bring, like, some medication. I threw some makeup and, like, a nice outfit in there because I want the first responders to get to me first. You know?
Makes sense.
Yeah. And you know, like, they're out there like, no, we don't pay it. Like, it's on, like, a case by case. Listen. You know, you ever seen Survivor videos of shit? It's like, where there were only good-looking people that needed rescue? No. See, they pick, dude. Don't think they don't. Don't think that it's equal when, you know, you're in the shit.
Rose, Titanic?
Yeah, exactly.
She lived.
Yeah. The fucking ugly, you know, maid that was, you know, mopping up the steerage. Did we hear about her? Nope.
Violinist? No.
Nobody cares about them.
Nope.
Have you ever seen that Ken Burns? Oh, there's like a million Ken Burns documents, but the one he did on country music?
I have no idea what Ken Burns is or country music.
Oh, Christ. Well, I was trying to throw a bone to the people in the South because I kind of shit on them earlier. So I was trying to like,
okay. They deserve it.
You know, I just like, you know, listen, there are certain things like that you guys have done, like barbecue, you know, Waffle House, I don't know, Leonard Skinner.
People love NASCAR.
NASCAR.
Yeah, I don't like it, but someone does.
But it's like, you know what? You guys have way too many complaints for people who contribute very little to the fucking country. Like, if America were a family, you'd be the Aunt Edna from Chevy Chase's Family Vacation of the family. You don't do a whole lot, you know, but you certainly bitch a lot, and you take fucking forever to do anything. Civil rights, last fucking people to get it done, you know? Or even, go back to slavery. Guys, you know, we're a legitimate country now. We got to tighten up. Can't have slaves anymore. It's kind of fucked up. No. Dude, just fucking get with the program, for Christ's sakes. Anything that everybody wants to do, like join the modern times, there's got to be some pushback from the South. And guys, let me tell you something. Unless you're bringing something dynamite to the table, you're always the first. It works like that in companies. You can't be a loudmouth and be shitty and also not contribute. Your ass will be gone. If we annexed Alabama, Louisiana, Mississippi tomorrow, you know what would happen? Nothing. Fucking, you wouldn't even know until you were like, oh, wait, were they with us before? I would gladly take Puerto Rico and place something. And guys, the people are like, oh, like that's shitty. You're me. No, I just want to see. I'm challenging you. Fucking bring something to the table that we can deal with, and also talk faster, dude. Time is money, and it's so annoying. And also, cost of living's $4 down there. They're always complaining about jobs. Dude, your rent is already $16 a month. How much more do you want, dude? How much more do you want? It's like the gratuitous complaining that comes from, you know, below the Mason-Dixon line is egregious.
Yeah, but then the North has some problems too. I mean, we have the Dakotas, we got the Minnesota.
Well, now you're talking about the Heartland. That's like a whole different.
Yeah, Alaska. Yeah,
I know.
I think there's a problem everywhere.
Yeah, and like I said, I'm not saying that there aren't good people in the South or but it's like collectively, collectively over time, you guys just fucking get your shit together. Come on. People be like, everybody thinks, you know, people from the South are racist. Well, because you fucking are. Like, you need, like, I mean, it's crazy to me.
The whole transgender bathroom thing, you know, let it go.
Oh, actually, I'm so glad you brought that up because somebody brought it up to me the other day. And listen, the complaint was that they felt like they wouldn't want their to send their kids to the bathroom because somebody from like the opposites that I'm sure what they're worried about is men being in there. Here's a thought: don't let your kid go into a public restroom they shouldn't be going in there, period. It's fucking full of germs. But also, don't let them. My mom would never let me go into a gas station bathroom by myself. She loved me.
Yeah.
Like, dude, watch your kids. And it's not like they're telling people like to come off the streets and use the bathroom in an elementary school. Like, these are public restrooms. Mm-hmm. Like, don't let your kid go in by themselves to be like, that's dangerous anyway.
Yeah. It doesn't matter if they're transgender or anything. There's other humans in there. There's other adults in there. They all could be molesters. And
I know. Listen, and you know what? I feel like I don't want to like shit all over conservatives and everything because there's like enough of that going on in this country. And to be fair, in certain situations, it's good to be conservative. It's good to have tradition, you know? Holidays are that's basically what they are, right? Tradition. Mm-hmm. That's good. Lynching black people, not a good tradition. Okay?
Holidays suck, though.
Well,
I mean, all of them are pretty useless. I love Christmas. That's about it.
Right. What's a tradition? Okay, well, I'll put it this way. What's a tradition you like?
Fantasy football.
All right, that's like, you said the one thing I could give two shits about. You know what? I don't want to go in on fantasy football right now because we've already like decimated, and you know, any fan we ever wanted from the South is gone. So I also want to like get the football lovers out too. Also, in like a sexual setting, I think the accent's kind of hot.
Oh.
But that's it.
I don't.
Oh, really?
No.
You wouldn't want to fuck a girl from the South?
Not based on their accent, no.
Oh, really?
No.
Why?
Never into the whole Daisy Duke thing.
Really?
No. I mean, it's fine, but mostly be annoying, I think.
I don't know.
Give me a British accent all day.
Oh, a British accent?
Oh, yeah.
I don't know. Well, listen, to each his own. Mm-hmm. I just think, like, if I wanted to get fucked by, like, you know, I don't know, Harry Potter or, like, what's his face in Smokey and the Bandit? Who's that hot guy? Burt Reynolds?
Burt Reynolds.
Oh, dude. Yeah. Right in the back of the Camaro, whatever the fuck it was. Dude, I would even his long haul trucker friend with like the weird basset hound eye, Enos or whatever the hell. No, that was the villain. Whoever his name was.
He doesn't really have that strong of a southern accent though.
Oh, like you know what accent trips me the fuck out? A Louisiana accent.
Yeah.
Well, I used to love that show Swamp People because I could not believe these people existed. And I'm not trying to be an asshole, but I thought that they just all collectively had a speech impediment. And then my father was like, no, like that's just how they talk down there. Like it's
Cajun.
Like the Cajun,
yeah.
Where like it's like they see the consonants and the vowels and they're like, well, we're just going to pronounce 2 out of the 6 in the word and we'll do that. And you're like, so everything you can like vaguely make out what they're saying. Mm-hmm. Like they talk like a fucking banjo sounds like.
Which is kind of beautiful.
Yeah, well, again, maybe in like a sexual setting, but when you're just trying to get like information quickly,
not gonna work.
Like we used to drive to Florida like 3 times a year. Whenever you'd hit those southern states and you got to go, like you went to go in and grab a coffee, it was like a 2-hour process, dude. It's like so slow. It's probably healthier for you, but also it's like you can never how do you get anything done? The talking, they got to like ask you about your whole family. And then it's like, I just can't.
I honestly feel that way just in LA.
You think it's slow? It's slower than New York.
Yeah, it is. And I couldn't do Florida. No.
But yeah, no, Florida's like, again, that's like a conversation for another day. But Florida's like, I mean.
Different planet.
It is.
It's a different planet.
It's something in the water. I think that's what happens when like it's like you have like really poor people and really rich people in like a tropical climate. And obviously, like a lot of drugs. It's like a port city. It's like a breeding ground for like crazy ass shit, dude. Like and it's like people always say like Florida Man. It was on that show Atlanta. It's like if you ever see a whack headline, but then you read like, oh, it was in Florida. You're like, oh, well that works. It could be the craziest thing you've ever heard, and then it'll be like, oh, but it was in Florida, and you're like, well, it's normal. All right. I think that's pretty much it for the week. What do you think? Anything else? Anything else you want to talk about?
No, this is a good episode. You got to bash Southerners. I
got to bash. Guys, I'm so sorry. I'll post a nude with like the Confederate flag in the background. I'll probably can rescue half of the population. I'll get half them back doing that, I think. You know? It ain't over till it's over. I'm not beyond forgiveness at this point. I'm just merely, and I'm from Jersey, so you could say a lot of bad shit about me too, and it's probably true.
That's like the South of New York.
Oh, yes. 100%. Yeah, Jersey is to New York what like Louisiana is to like North Carolina. It's like similar, but one is significantly worse than the other.
Yeah.
So, but again, I always say like New York and New Jersey, it's all good. It's not as bad as Staten Island. So
Definitely true.
I think that's a good note to end on.
I think so.
All right, until next week.
Whoa!